Hey, 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 it's Monday. Sounds like happy days. Monday, Tuesday, happy days. It's Yvonne here from Women's Fitness Adventures for another Monday Night Live. Yes, back to Monday today. Last week was Tuesday. So thank you for joining me. Today I am going to talk about movement, motivation, menopause, a couple of other things. So if you are on our email list, you would have received today's newsletter, which has that as the title, Motivation, Menopause and Movement, in, I don't know if it's that order, but those three things. So that's what I'm going to chat about today. If you are watching me right now, come along for the journey. Just typing a note. Let me know where you're watching from. Brod's there from a very warm Launceston. Thank you for joining in, Brod, and lovely to have you here with me tonight. So I'm going to talk about those three things, but I'm also going to talk about some of the questions that I got asked over the week and which kind of build on some questions when we had a member Q&A not long ago. Hi, Pauline in Adelaide as well. But, this whole concept of movement, why start, why bother, really? Because it matters. It gives you choices. The more movement you have, the more mobility you have, the more choices you have, the more freedom you have. And I personally think that that's really important as I move around the country and I see lots of people that don't exist in my world. I look around at the general community and it's quite scary, really, the movement or lack of movement that we are or aren't doing, and how if we're not self-directing, then we're giving control of the way we move, the way our health progresses, to somebody else. So let me cover some of that this afternoon. So hi, Diane. Hello, Sandra. You have to mention it's warm in Tassie because it's not that common. Yep. Hi, Cherie. And hello, Suzanne, from your new house in Gwandaland. It sounds like Wonderland. I'm not sure where that is. I think it's in New South Wales. So thank you for letting me know where you're watching from. And I know there's some of you watching that aren't going to disclose where you are. I wish you would, but you don't have to, but I wish you would. And hi, Meg, warm in Melbourne as well. So lovely to have you here. And for some of you in Australia watching, it might be your very first day back at work or your very first day sending others off to work. So thank you for joining me, and I hope it was a great day wherever you are. And hi, Sue in Brisbane. So, this movement matters. And for me, and for most of you who have identified yourselves, hiking is a really low impact way to get that movement, no matter what your fitness level, no matter what your age. And that's what we do inside our membership, is we teach, train and take women on hiking adventures all over the world. And whether that's one of our adventures or you're choosing to do your own, it's the skills and knowledge around movement and moving well and moving functionally well that ensure that you have a great adventure and that you come home and afterwards you're still in great shape and still able to move well all the time. So my newsletter tonight was about movement. It was about menopause, and it was about motivation. So in the newsletter, if you received it, you would have had a link to a podcast I did with the wonderful Angela Council, who is a menopause specialist. And we just chatted about all things adventure, all things hiking, and Angela's personal journey as well. Now, Angela is a member and has recently, she won't mind me disclosing this because it's covered in the podcast, has had a hip replacement. And thanks to her determined and single focus of mobility and the choices she wants to have in her life moving forward for today and for every other day afterwards, not even a month after her hip replacement, she is back to moving and grooving and has her place secured on our Iceland adventure this July. So, if you're looking for motivation and you're looking for inspiration, then look no further than that, because she is living proof that, we can, no matter where we are in our health journey, we can, if we're determined to, take choices and take action. Hi, Andrea. Lovely to have you from Northern Rivers. And hi, Tracy from Brisbane. Lovely to have you here too. But the motivation bus, and it's easy to talk about motivation at the beginning of the year, doesn't always come along. We actually have to jump in and we have to take it. And hoping for a change, hoping for something to be different is not going to do anything. Hope and more hope is just a dream, but hope and thoughts and actions actually make it a reality. And, we can sit here again this time next year and be in the same place. Or, as I know for most of you that I can see who have named yourselves, I know what an amazing 12 months you had, because you took charge. Some of you told me you threw away your excuses and you really started living the life that you choose and have wanted to choose to live, which is just amazing to see, because that has a ripple effect. And I was chatting with a friend the other day about impact, and the impact that we have on someone we may never know, or they may tell us. But if we live our authentic selves, then our impact truly shines through. So some questions that I've had, and hi, Sandy, some questions that I've had over the past couple of days, and also we had last year, was around movement and around mobility. And specifically, one of the questions was, and we often get asked this, and it's the number one question I get about women and their ability to do a hike, is how do I know how much cardio fitness to do or how much interval training to do so that I'm fit enough for a hike? The question of fit enough is, well, what is fit? What is fit enough? What is fit in comparison to? So identifying those parameters, like I said, if you're a long distance swimmer, then you are fit enough for long distance swimming. If you are a sprinter, then you are fit enough and fast enough to be a sprinter. So it is a comparative term, but a swimmer is probably, a long distance swimmer, not fit enough to run a sprint against someone who is a sprinter all the time. So it's a very interesting concept, but fit enough for a hiking adventure is all about what your hiking adventure is. So if fit enough means, in my world for fit, is if you are hiking fit, you have the endurance, so the ability to be with the time on your legs for what the hike is required. And if it's a day hike of 8 hours, then you should have the ability, the fitness to be on your legs for more than 8 hours, moving with a weighted pack on your back, that you should have the cardio for the terrain of that hike, that day hike, and you should have the strength in your body so that you are lifting the feet right up to the very end. So that strength in the legs coming from strong glutes, from strong knees, and from ankles that have the mobility, so that we're recruiting the right muscles for the right time. And hello, Mandy, and hello, Karen. Lovely to have you here. And if you're doing a multi-day hike, then you are backing that up day after day after day for the duration of the hike. Fit enough also means that you're mentally fit enough, so that you've got the right headspace. And I was chatting with someone the other day, a friend the other day, who had done a hike to Machu Picchu, and there was a random person on the hike who set herself up from the beginning. I hope I've done enough training. Why am I here? What am I doing? What if I can't make it? And so we need to be physically fit, but we also need to be mentally fit. We all go through those self-doubts. Have I done enough? But if you follow a plan, if you follow a program and stick to it, allowing for all those bumps in the road that is called life, then you will be fit enough for that adventure. And I know many of you listening are living proof of that. But also, that being strong enough is being functionally strong. And when we're fit enough for hiking, and making sure it's relevant to that particular adventure. So if you are doing, let's say, a hike along the Murray River, or you are doing Kokoda, it's a different level of fitness that you need. It's a different level of physical fitness. It's a different level of mental stamina, particularly mental stamina, because one is, closely around towns. The other is extremely, remote in a country that doesn't have a lot of the facilities that we might have here in Australia. So hello, Jelena, as well. And hello, Anita. Lovely to have you here as well. And so one of the other things when we're asked, am I fit enough for hiking is, is my body going to be strong on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, but also is it going to be strong, and am I going to be able to walk when I get home? Am I going to injure myself? All those sorts of questions. So a lot of that fear and self-doubt around hiking fitness, around what if How about what happens? Are all part of this mental and physical fitness that we need to get strong for a hike. But also in terms of movement, and the question came through the other week, was about I get sore knees, or I get a niggle in my knees. What does that mean? What can I do about it? Now, I'm not a health expert. I am a personal trainer, and I've done lots of training in the women's space for, oh my gosh, it would be 16 or 17 years now. And I know that in most cases when women get sore knees when they're hiking, unless you've had some major knee surgery or a major knee injury, most of that comes from not recruiting the right muscles for what we need to do. So for us to have strong, to not have niggles and to build strength in our legs, which do most of the work when we're hiking, not all of it, but most of the work, we need to build up our glute strength, so the strength in our bottom, building and recruiting those muscles, strength in the hips. And believe it or not, don't believe this bit because it's true. I mean, believe it because it's true. I've been doing lots and lots of hip work lately, and I'm always doing my gym work because my goal is to remain injury-free. But hips need strengthening all the time. And there's something that we don't particularly think about. We think more about just our legs, but our hip strength and our hip flexibility. Hip flexors are generally very tight. Now, if they're not strengthened, then our ability to lift our legs as well starts to be impaired. And our inability to lift our legs means that all the other muscles get recruited. So if my glutes aren't turned on when I'm hiking, if my hips aren't strong enough when I'm hiking, it defaults to our quads, our thighs. And if you've ever come home from a hike and your thighs are burning, burn baby burn, it could be that you have recruited the wrong muscles, or the right muscles weren't recruited and the others have to come in by default. So when we recruit the right muscles, we can stay out for longer, we can feel better the next day. If the right muscles aren't recruited, and we start to fatigue in our thighs, then our calf muscles start to happen. And who here has walked uphill on their toes with a backpack on? And that's great. You get there faster. Yay, I'm at the top first. And then the next day, or not further along into the hike, your calf muscles are burning. It starts to niggle and aggravate around your Achilles heel, the bottom of your ankle. It can also start to go into the foot, which is not a pleasant thing to happen at all. So this purpose of putting our foot first and pushing through our entire foot will recruit the right muscles in our bottom and stop the wrong muscles, well, not the wrong muscles, stop the muscles that don't need to be recruited from firing until they're actually needed. So when if we recruit our glute muscles and our hips and make them strong, when they fatigue, which will take, some time, but they will do, then we start to go down to our thighs and then down to our calves, finally our ankles. So if you've ever noticed at the end of a hike, you're dragging your feet or even tripping over your own feet, it's because our body has fatigued to the point that they're the last ones that are actually going to pick us up. So let me just check in here with Suzanne. She says, I struggle with trying to get injury free. I resolve one issue and then I get another issue. All resolves around my lower back. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Suzanne. I had some lower back injuries as well, and I don't know what your particular back injuries are specifically, but I had some lower back injuries or soreness last year to the point where I couldn't raise one of my legs, and I went to the physio and I went to my trainer. And for me, and perhaps for some of you, carrying the backpack and the load that I carry, my body was not physically strong enough to do that. Now, I've been doing this for carrying a backpack probably every day for almost 9 years now. But when I have a break, or as my body changes, this whole menopause movement and motivation, as my body changes, I need to start to do different things. So for me, it was all about getting my core strong. It doesn't mean I have a six-pack. I'll never have a six-pack. Not interested in a six-pack unless it's like a six-pack of, cakes or something like that. But it means that I'm strong through the core which is the front and back, and that my hips are really strong, and my hips will control my knees. So when I get strong through there, and I did it, and as a member, I think it's called Yvonne's Workout in our on-demand library. Those were the things that, if I do regularly, helped me minimize any back injury. And I know that if I don't do that regularly, it starts to flare up a little bit. So for me, it was that quadratus lumborum in the back there. So Susan, if that sounds like something of yours, then take a look at that on-demand video. But otherwise, I would, if you're probably under the care of a health professional anyway, I'd check that out. But if it all continues to resolve around that area, then perhaps look into that a little more deeply, because we know how much you love hiking and want to keep doing that. But our ankle, here's a quick tip or test to see how your how strong your hips are, is when you do a squat. So remember, the anatomy of a squat is our feet are facing forward, our knees are in the same direction as so pretend these are my feet, my knees are in the same direction, so my shoulders can be my knees. And as I stick my bottom out, my knees are going down. I don't have to go very far, and my knees are not going over the front of my toes. So that's the anatomy of a squat. So as you do a squat, have a look at where your knees go. So if your feet are starting to splay out a little bit, then I would question the strength of your hips and your ankle mobility. If your knees are starting to turn in, if you can see my hands, or one knee, then I would also suggest that some hip strength and glute strength is needed there. So have a think about that. And, nobody is perfect. It takes a lot of continual work. Even mine turn in. But I do a lot of work and to build that strength. So let's check in here. Margaret says, there was a moment on my last hike, the Great Ocean Walk, where there was a point where I was tired and I realized that I was using my leg muscles rather than my quads. Yeah. And that, Margaret, is a really good point, because it's going to happen to all of us. But the more we can strengthen our quads, the longer we're going to keep that endurance ability in them for. And the other muscles it's not going to default to. So, but, Margaret, that is a huge thing to actually realize that that's what's happening. Oh, and your glutes as well. Yeah. Rather than your glutes, to actually realize what is happening in our bodies, because it's when we realize what's happening that we can actually take action. And this whole conversation, my 3 words, if you've read the newsletter, my 3 words are, I think it's movement for mobility. So as members, we've just sent the newsletter out to ask you what your 3 words for 2023 are going to be. And I know that next week in our masterclass, we do have some member stories, and you're going to see how some of our members lived their 3 words for the 12 months and what an impact that made. So my 3 words are movement for mobility. So to move every day. And I, as I said, in my travels and in my world beyond me, I see the general population, and I see how well or not so well we're moving. And for me personally, my ability to move, and to move well, to squat, to hop, not that I hop or jump much, to run, to get on the ground, to reach up, to stand comfortably on a ladder, to walk up and down stairs, is really, really important to me. Because when I have the ability to move freely, to do life on my terms, I always have my choices. And when I have choices, I have freedom. Sure, stuff happens. We can design the life we want, and things happen by accident. But a lot doesn't happen by accident too. So if we can, for me, if I continue to focus on my movement for mobility, that is really, important to me, and making me, my guiding star for the year. The other thing we have done this year with our online functional fitness, so as members, we can access our live stream Thursday fitness sessions, or the on-demand library, is we've mixed it up a little bit. And there's this thing I hate called burpees, which when I was researching a burpee, so if you don't know what a burpee is, you're standing up, you get onto the ground in like a plank, well, sort of a squat, you jump out to plank, you jump back up and you jump back up. And unless you can hold that form for more than one, it doesn't achieve a lot. It was designed in the 1920s or 30s as a fitness test for some college guys. And it's a great way to burn calories and a great way to boost cardio. But in terms of its function and form, it's really hard to hold because the body fatigues really quickly. But I've come up with a new move called the chirpy. And if we break down what a burpee is, it's our ability to fall forward and then get back up again. So on the ground, your ability to go forward and then get back up again. And that's really important for all of us to fall, not necessarily fall forward, but that ability to go in a forward motion to a lower surface and then get up again. So great practice for if we have to get up and down off the ground, grandkids or groceries or anything like that. So we've introduced this move, which is really about our flexibility. It's about our mobility. It's about how we really move through the world. So check that one out if you remember. Video number 44 was put on during the week, so it's in that one there. The other question I get is, how do I decide, or how does anyone decide what kind of hiking is good for them? Now, whether you're a member or not, the keys to deciding what hike for you is you probably need to download our guide, the 3 questions to ask before you book a hiking holiday or adventure. And soon our Adventure Ready for Hiking course will be out in hopefully by the end of the week. That will be online and suitable for those who are doing their own multi-day adventure and want to, be held accountable and get fitness. But deciding what's right for you is actually, deciding where and how and when you want to go, what you are prepared to commit to and not commit to. And I had a question during the week is, well, no, let me rephrase that. I belong to lots of different things, and some things I get more out of than others. But I realized if I put in stuff, I get out stuff. And I had someone say to me, I'm not getting anything out of belonging to you. And that's great. But when I looked at the history of that person, that actually done nothing, not even read an email to engage. So, we can belong to things. We can look at and go, I should do that. I should do that. I should do my fitness. I should be more this. I should be more that. If we're always saying the shoulds, we're always going to disappoint ourselves. So the more we put into something, the more we'll get out. And that is around our hiking fitness in particular for the benefit of this conversation. So if hiking is important to you, and let's face it, it is a low impact, very safe, very social way for women to get fit, to gain a community, to have a social outlet in the outdoors, which is just one of the best places anyone can be. It's generally fresh air and, forest bathing, if you follow that Japanese concept as well. But there are certain fitness skills that you need to remain injury-free and to do it quite well. So there are the things I've been talking about tonight. So the menopause, which is coming up in my Facebook feed all the time. I know it's listening and it's interesting, but have a listen to that podcast with Angela that I did. I'm sure you'll get some useful stuff out of that and some motivation as well. So the menopause and the motivation. And then, of course, this movement. I really encourage you to think about your 3 words for this year. Think about your movement for this year. For members, our walking tracker inside the I'm just going to put this up here if anyone's not a member. Our walking tracker inside the member dashboard lets you add in your, how much you walk every single day, and it adds it up by the end of the year. And I think one of our members said she walked the equivalent of Brisbane to, of Cairns to Melbourne, which is about 3,500 kilometers or thereabouts, which if you think, each day doesn't matter, but cumulatively each day turns into half of, well, not quite, maybe, a third of a lap of Australia where we live. So, each little thing we do, that compounding fitness, is all about our movement and all about our mobility. So that's what I'm going to end on tonight. I challenge you for your 3 words. You can drop them below. You can email me. You can pop them anywhere you want. Reply to the newsletter. I will not be here next Monday. I am heading off on my bucket list adventure on Sunday. So I am out for 2 weeks, but I will try and drop in wherever I am to say hi. I am right back where some of you may be right now, or some of you may have been, in that I'm doing something that is out of my comfort zone. I am doing something that has been a dream of mine for over 40 years. I'm doing something that I don't know a whole lot about. I've done my reading. I've done, the preparation I need to. So I'm right back at that really exciting, really great space of being a beginner and a new learner about it. And I challenge you, any of you who are in this same space as me, we know life is short, and that's been one of the things that's come up all of this 23 already, is that why do we wait? Why do we wait? Because lots of conversations I've had is, I should have when I could have. I will do it in 3 months. I will do it. And then something happens and there's never that opportunity again. And I've heard that probably twice a day, every day since the year started, and it's only the 9th today. So, that's what I'm doing. I have an opportunity. I have the physical ability. I have the mental capacity. And I really encourage you, whatever you may be thinking, wherever space, whether that's to take on a new learning, a new adventure, a new move, whatever it is, if the opportunity is there, I really encourage you to explore it well. And and someone wise asked this question, says Pauline, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Yeah, I wonder who that was. And I heard this other one today. Someone was turning 60. They were celebrating for 60 days, but I have a challenge on that, 60 things for 60 days. Diane, I'm sure you know that I'm heading off to Antarctica and Patagonia on Sunday. So it's been on my bucket list since I was 14. And I am super, super excited. I'm packed. I'm ready to go. But it is entirely new space for me. And, I've turned a dream into reality, and that's what I encourage all of you to do. Whatever your dreams are, is to turn those into your own reality. And if that's hiking and the space that we're in, let us know how we can help you. And yeah, go from there. I will enjoy. Thank you, everyone, for that. But I didn't say that to, get excited about where I'm going. It's just that I'm right at the beginning. This is something new that I haven't done before. I go on adventures all the time, but this is a personal thing. And there was one more thing I was going to add to that, but I cannot remember what it was. So thank you for tuning in tonight. If you've got any comments or questions, or as members, if you have, queues for questions, just drop them into our private Facebook group and go from there. But thank you for watching. I look forward to catching up with you. I will chime in. So I look forward to catching up with you sometime in the next couple of weeks. Take care, and we'll catch up soon. Bye.